Hey everyone, I'm Scott Cunningham, aka Scottsy Business, and today we're going to be talking about amateur investing. This is another installment in this series where I talk about my stock buys, how my dividends are growing and what I've been making, as well as what I've been making from crypto passive income through lending and staking, and how my crypto portfolio has been growing as well. So we're going to dive into all that today, but just before we do, I want to put out this disclaimer, and I'm going to be putting this out now every single time I make one of these videos. This is just something that I have to include from now on. Aside from the obvious, this is not financial advice. Do not copy my trading strategies, but take insight from them and then make your own decisions, because I'm doing this based on what I'm seeing at the market at the time that I'm investing, and just blankly copying what I'm doing is not going to necessarily work out the same for you. But more importantly than that, I have to add this disclaimer for the tax man that everything that I'm showing you is not necessarily, 100% true or accurate, or whether or not it's simulated, or it's just something that, I actually do have this. That's all up in the air. I cannot confirm or deny whether or not this is actually what I'm making in my portfolio. So you just have to kind of take this with a grain of salt, and to each their own, right? I have to include this. It has to be like this going forward for the tax man. So with that being said, let's jump right in. So I've got a lot more spreadsheets to show you guys now, with some nice visuals and charts and things to better visualize and sort of outline how I've been performing, and just give you a little bit more information to just better visualize the data and make it a little less dreary to look at. So these are my dividend payouts from my stocks that I've been invested in. I actually made the most dividends yet last month for $88.79, which is amazing. I should see a little bit of a dip because I sold a lot of my my stocks, bought Tesla, then I sold Tesla with the big index ad in December, but then I went back into dividends. So now I have more dividends than I did before that. So realistically, it should be fine, but just a lot of moving around, rebalancing, all that good stuff. I'll talk about that when I actually show the individual stock buys, but it has been a great year for me in 2020, and I expect this to be another fantastic year, especially with what crypto has been doing lately. So yeah, it's been fantastic. But I've had a really good time with these dividend stocks, just growing my dividends so that I can cover various things in my life and, just knock out expenses one by one until eventually I can retire, because everything is paid for passively. And this is the progression of that. So it's nice to see this where you can actually see how it's progressing, and you get that motivation because you see that it's growing very quickly. And if you can keep investing consistently, you will see this continue to grow. So the line here is the actual amount, and then the bar graphs is the projected amount. And I will have a link for this template so you can do this as well. I have a video that explains how I use this and how I budget, which you can check out. I'll do another video talking about my 2020 budget and how that all played out. But this has been fantastic. And though going forward, there won't be nearly as much growth, because for the next 6 months, I'm not going to invest in stocks at all unless there's a crash, because Bitcoin and Ethereum have been doing so well that I'm only investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum for the next little while. And unless there's a big crash, I won't be buying anything in the stock market, more or less, aside from what my dividends generate. I will absolutely keep reinvesting my dividends, because compounding interest is very important to growing your portfolio. So when we look at crypto income, I made $41 in December, which is fantastic. And $13.49 of that came from RealT, which is my real estate, my tokenized real estate that I have in the United States, which has been very, very sustainable, reliable, and consistent. And I'm, very happy how it's performed, and I'm going to continue investing in them and probably buy new properties that they get over the next year if they're in different states than what I already have properties in, just to diversify the location a little bit more. I don't want to put too much money into something like this because, I still don't know how sustainable and reliable it is because, it is tokenized real estate. It's very new, but it's done very, very well. And I'm very happy with how it's done. So I made $41.71 in total from RealT, lending, and staking. And I'll show you exactly how that breaks down. But going forward, I don't have any lending coins. I sold out of like 90% of my positions because I've consolidated everything back into Bitcoin and Ethereum. I think that is where all the gains are. What's $40 compared to thousands of dollars of gains overnight from Bitcoin and Ethereum? It just doesn't make sense for me to just stay in these passive income investments. Though I really like the concept of passive income, Ethereum and Bitcoin are just too sweet of an opportunity to not be throwing everything at them right now, in my opinion. Again, obviously, none of this is financial advice, but that's that. I've sold out of everything except for Hive, which I have staked in. So I'm, curating, and then I'm delegating as well and earning a decent amount, about 12 to 14% APR, depending on the leases that I'm leasing my delegations to. And they're going to come out with resource credit leasing too. So you might actually be able to make even more money on top of what you're already getting from Hive, which is fantastic. So that's my crypto passive income. Again, we'll get into the specifics in very, very soon, but I've sold most of it out. So going forward, this is going to be exponentially smaller because everything is just going to be in Bitcoin and Ethereum for a while. Maybe after the next crash, probably in 2022, I might come back to a lot of these because I still think they're great projects, but I'm not going to be nearly as focused on them for the next little while. Again, same with stocks, same with almost everything, right? So this is tracking my actual portfolio. So now you can kind of see how it's grown over time. I will show you my Blockfolio account as well, so you can take a look at that in a little bit. But this just gives you a general idea of how it's grown over time. And I'm extremely happy with how it's grown, now at $83,948 Canadian. I'm finally listing all this in Canadian so that it's just very obvious and very easy to read. I know most of my viewers are from the US, but you can generally assume how much money I have based on, the conversion rate of 1.28 right now. But yeah, so that's fantastic. Really, really happy about that growth. And then this is following my stock portfolio growth, which again has moved pretty well. And in both cases, I've more or less just consistently put money in, but significantly less than what I've actually made. I mean, to be fair, with stocks, I'm probably only up maybe like $1,000, but that's not including all the dividends I earned. So if you included that, maybe around $1,500, which is great. And it's in line with what you should aim for. But when we look at my crypto, it's like, come on, I didn't put in $83,000 this year. I can tell you that. So there's been exponentially more growth by investing in crypto than there has been in the stock market. It's partially why for the next 6 months, I'm not even going to focus on the stock market. I'm just going to be focused on crypto. And I've been investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum with the belief, and, this is in line with how I've done my entire investing strategy, that Bitcoin will hit $300,000 or more US by October or November of this year. And we should expect a crash around somewhere early 2022. Now, there's very little, it's hard to actually give, legitimate predictions. And I'm not saying this is an actual prediction, but this is what I'm investing based on. So, do your research, invest based on what you believe to be true, etc. But this is just how I'm doing my investing. And it has worked exponentially. Like I can't, it's surreal how much money I've made just off of crypto, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum this year alone. Mind you, I haven't realized any of the gains, but if this continues to play out and it does go to 300,000 by October or November, I can effectively retire and maybe get a rental property or something like that. And I'll have enough money though to cover my expenses for the rest of my life, more or less. And, you know, with dividend stocks, or if I get a rental property, whatever it happens to be, it's going to be life changing. And then I can just do this full time and, you know, maybe put out a video, 2 videos a day, and really just double down on this. So I'm really excited if that plays out, and you'll be able to follow me the whole way along. But again, for the tax man, I've got to say that this isn't necessarily 100% reflective of what I'm actually earning. And this could more or less just be simulated based on what I would have invested if I had invested. Either way, though, I'm giving you a ton of data and stuff to look at that may or may not be true. It's just gotta be said. That's just how it has to be. But so that is everything for there. I hope that gives you a good overview of how things have been performing. I am thrilled with the performance. Let's take a quick look at Blockfolio, and I'll just quickly go through my portfolio. I've shrunk it down ridiculously, so there's not a ton to even have to go through. But let's start recording now and take a look. All right, so this is my Blockfolio account. I won't spend a super long time on this because I have to record these screen shares in 3-minute intervals for some weird reason. So my account has performed phenomenally. I was able to get Bitcoin when it was about $3,000 or $4,000 cheaper than it is now just the other day. So, you know, before that 7% rise. So that was amazing. My numbers might be a little off because normally I invest in US dollars, as you see here. But now that I'm showing you everything in Canadian dollars, I think it makes more sense to keep everything in Canadian. So I might be a little confused as to what the prices actually were. But I also invested in Library Coin recently when it was significantly lower before this 15% gain. And I've been just holding a lot of ETH, as I always have. I've consolidated the majority of my coins down into Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then a little bit into Library Coin, just because I want to play it safe. I think a lot of the altcoins and speculative coins and stuff, I don't feel super confident in. As I said earlier, instead of earning passive income, getting like, you know, $20, $30, $40 a month, I'd rather just get thousands of dollars overnight from these crazy gains and just focus on this for a little while. And then maybe once everything kind of settles down, get back into some different passive income earning cryptocurrencies. So my USD dollar value is really just tracking my RealT real estate tokenized assets. And because I can't actually get the individual, you know, unique coins on here, obviously. So I just track it in US dollar value, and that's just an easy way to do it. Dash is, I always have some Dash so that I can buy stuff without having any fees attached, like if I was going to use Ethereum or whatever else. I also recommend Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, but my personal preference, like, it's not that I think it's way better than Bitcoin Cash. I just prefer using Dash because the Dash app is just so easy to use that at the end of the day, I just decided to go with one of them instead of having a bunch, because I'm not really holding them to speculate. I'm just holding them to be able to just buy things every day, groceries, beer, cell phone bill, paying for bills, whatever it is, you name it, I'm usually paying for it with Dash. And then Hive is kind of my passive income earner. It's, you know, for curating, earning by delegating, all this different stuff on the Hive ecosystem. So that's been fantastic. And I really like what Hive is all about. Last but not least, just kind of showing you like the past 6 months or so in my portfolio has just been, you know, stupidly like exponential. And this is why I put everything into Ethereum and Bitcoin, because this is the kind of thing that you're going to see when you do that. And I highly, highly recommend it. But this isn't financial advice. So that is everything for Blockfolio. And that is my 3 minutes there. I hope that was, you know, informative and kind of gave you a good overview of what I'm doing with my crypto. And again, that may or may not be the correct values. So I gotta keep saying that. All right. So for my spreadsheets of actual, you know, all the actual information here for you to see whether or not it's real, you know, you can see when I sold out all of these coins, and just, you know, got out of all these. Oh, I have to actually just update these to be 0. And now I 100% only hold Hive for my passive income. The 500 gain here was just over the past little bit, just from earning in terms of posting on Hive and earning from Hive and Leo Finance, which is just a fantastic way to get extra crypto. And then I can use that to earn more Hive and just kind of continually build up my portfolio. So that has been amazing. And I've got about $600 Canadian worth in total now. And, you know, it's nothing crazy. It's very minor, but it's just because this is what I'm doing for the next little while. And then after the next crash, I might get back into some of these passive coins. They're great for bear markets, but obviously not as ideal for bull markets because the price of Hive and Tron and BTMX, it's not going up alongside Bitcoin. So naturally, this isn't the best thing to be invested in during a bull market. But before I sold out of all these coins, I did track, you know, my earnings. These are the total earnings of everything that I've done. But I pulled out of my lending coins a little while ago, so there's nothing left to be earned there. I will be doing a review of the different lending platforms and how I felt about the different lending platforms. But to save you some time, Celsius was my go-to for the highest interest rates. It was the most easy to use and the best for easily withdrawing your funds. But in terms of the last month or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, since the last time I did my amateur investing report, I've earned about 330 Tron, $7.59 from BTMX, and 42.59 Hive. And at the time of calculating all this, that came to about 21.54 US, which is $28.22 Canadian, as I mentioned earlier. And then that, along with the RealT income that I've been earning, made, you know, $44 or whatever it was exactly. So for growth stocks, I'm only invested in AMD now. That is my only real growth stock investment. I guess you could sort of say I'm invested in a little bit of precious metal, but honestly, this was just, I didn't have the $91 in my account to cover the cost for this. So I just, rather for AMD, whatever it was at the time, $92.35. I decided to just, hey, whatever, I'll throw that money into something because it's better than just leaving your money sitting there. So I threw it into Sprott's physical gold and silver package. And that's up, you know, like $8.56. So it's better than if I just held it and did nothing with it in fiat currency. So when I do put more money in, though, I will probably just sell all that and then just put everything into AMD because they are just dominating all the markets they're in. People are buying their PC chips, their GPUs. Xbox and PlayStation are both using their GPU and CPU for their new systems. It's a winning asset, in my opinion. It's the only growth stock I need. Had I held on to my Tesla, I would have been in a really good place right now. It's up to $739. So I sold at $660 in December because I just wanted to take those gains from the huge run up. And I made over $1,000 when I sold, which was fantastic. I just had 6 stocks, but you know, I just don't see this infinitely going up and never going down. And I expect a big stock crash in the next 6 months or maybe in the next year. But whether or not that happens, regardless, this money is better used in cryptocurrency. So that's what I've been doing with my money. Though I did rebalance a lot of these profits back into dividend stocks that I really like. And I've also continued to rebalance my dividends a little bit and just focus on the safest sectors possible. So, I've been diving further into a lot of this information. I will link this fantastic resource that I've been using. I believe it's called Simply Wall Street, where it gives you a really good analysis of the company. It lets you look at how they've changed their dividend and how it's really just grown or, you know, gone down in value over time, so that you can see if it's, you know, worth investing in as a dividend investor. That's very, very useful information to me. And you can see back, you know, many, many years. So it's very, very useful to see, you know, how long have they actually kept paying out their dividend, and how has it grown. And then you can see all the different risks associated with the company. Like, do they have a lot of debt? Are they making enough earnings to cover their dividends and all that stuff? So that's really, really good information. I'll make sure to link that in the description so that you guys can check that out as well. I don't know if it covers all stocks, but it definitely covers North American stocks, and it has been a very, very useful resource to me. So for the actual, like changes that I've made in my account, again, previously I was very focused on diversification across different sectors, but I was so spread out that I wasn't able to keep up with a lot of my stocks. So I sold a lot of my stocks in well in the green, like up 20 to 30% in some cases even 40%. Like I believe Waterloo Brewing was up like 40% or something like that since I bought it. But I wanted to kind of just get out of all the more speculative stuff and really just focus on a few core sectors. So I sold off my alcohol stocks, which is Waterloo Brewing. I sold out of finance. So, different things for like Fiera Capital, Exchange Income Corporation, just these different companies that were doing loans and various things like that. I sold out of Premium Brands Holding. I like a lot of the companies that are in there, but the problem with this is that there's just a lot of like risk associated with this. I can't remember exactly what it was, but when I was going through, it really concerned me. Like they were diluting shares, and they had way too much debt. They weren't able to cover their dividends with earnings. I'm not sure if all those apply to this one specifically, but anything that I did sell out of really was concerning in some of those aspects. Like they were either diluting shares, not able to really cover their income very well. They were, maybe lowering their dividend. One of those types of things is what kind of got me to get out of those and then just focus on the better stuff. Like Maple Leaf Foods is a really, really good company. I bought a little bit more there. I bought Walmart because again, if they keep doing what they're doing, we're going to see, these massive companies like Walmart just continue to grow exponentially if they keep, preventing small businesses from opening and focusing on propping up big businesses. So that's kind of one of the most obvious plays right now. I sold out of all my other energy stocks before, but I stayed in Canadian Natural Resources and I actually doubled down on it. So I have a little bit there still. I got 20 stocks in that. Because I still want to have a little bit in energy, but my main focus going forward is food and grocery, as well as a little bit of packed food, banking, insurance, consumer goods, real estate, mainly in the form of REITs and some ETF REITs, and then just a bunch of different ETFs to invest in all the other sectors without having to individually pick stocks because again, I don't have the time to be researching all this, and I probably already have more stocks than I should. So I want to invest in more ETFs to really just lower my risk, and my risk play is on cryptocurrency. I don't need to be being risky in the stock game. I thought even investing in Tesla at all was a risky play, but selling it was kind of risky too, because now it's up almost $100 more than when I sold. But I got a ton of gains, and that's all you can really ask for. You can't, keep looking back and wondering, oh, what if I sold it this time? What if I sold it this time? Because that's going to be way worse in the cryptocurrency game anyways. So that was a lot of the moves that I made. I invested some more in some of these ETFs, moved around some of my insurance stuff, sold out of my lowest performing real estate, and then just upped some of my other real estate. And then I also bought Microsoft because I want to get a little bit more into the tech field, even though it's very risky. But again, Microsoft is one of those companies that's being propped up and championed during this time. So, it doesn't hurt to have some. I already wanted to have some Microsoft stock anyways. So, it's one of the better dividend technology stocks. So I'm happy to hold that because I want to focus more on the dividend side of things. So that's everything from my stocks. We looked at crypto. We looked at my growth investments. That's basically everything. RealT, as I said, I got about $13.29, which totals me to earning $50.51 in total from all of the rental payments that I've received from holding these several properties here, which span through Detroit, Florida, Ohio, and New York. And again, if they come out with a new property in a new state, I will be incentivized to diversify a little bit more and invest maybe a little bit more and get a couple more properties. I'm fine to do that because this has worked so well. And if it continues at the way that it's been going, then it's going to just be a very, very solid source of income. And I like to explore all this stuff and let you know how it's going. So that is everything. Again, unfortunately, I've got to disclaim that all this data may or may not be accurate. It may be simulated. It may be real. I can't really say. Who knows? But, take this as you will. I mean, there's obviously a lot of data here. So, to each their own. I'm actually showing you the data, unlike most people. The thing you got to keep in mind is when you're looking at a lot of these different investments and tracking all this different stuff, if someone's willing to show you the actual data, that's much more reliable than someone telling you the data. However, like I said, this may or may not be simulated, so to each their own. But even if this was simulated, you can still see how this is earning and how this portfolio is done. And maybe in the future, I'll include my original investments that may or may not be simulated, so that you really have the best idea of how much this has grown in terms of actual investments and versus the principal that I put in. But I can tell you right now that my entire portfolio is about, actually, I have it right here. It is currently $110,000 Canadian, and I only put in, less than like 50 or 45,000 Canadian. So it is more than doubled in just the past year. A little over a year ago, I only had about $5,000 invested in anything. So to go from that to over $110,000 in like a year and 2 months or a year and a month and a half is very surreal. I feel truly blessed, and I wanted to share this journey with you guys so you could see, wow, like doing something like this is actually possible. You can just make ungodly amounts of money, and it could change your life because, if Bitcoin does what I believe it's going to do, I might be able to retire in the next 8 to 9 months. And not that I actually expect that to be the case. I'm fine to continue just growing this. But if that is the case, that is going to be life-changing for me and probably for many, many other people. So with that being said, thank you so much for sticking around and watching this whole thing. This was quite lengthy, but there was a lot to get through. But I appreciate you sticking around and viewing this. If you did like this, if you did watch all the way, feel free to comment #1ham in the comments below. That way I know that you watched the whole thing, and very much appreciate that you did. Giving this a like, sharing this, watching it or sharing it on other platforms that I've shared it on, all that stuff helps so much. So if you could like, share, subscribe, that would mean the world to me. And it makes all this time that I dedicate to this worth it. But I'm happy to do it because I track all this stuff anyways. And if it helps you guys for me to share it with you, then I'm more than happy to do that. So again, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, cheers.